Rebuilding the Nation. Preparing for reunification. President Lincoln and the Congress did not reach an agreement on how to reunify the Union. Reconstruction was a process of reunification of the North and the South after the Civil War. After the war, the nation faced enormous problems. Vast areas of the South were devastated. No one knew what would happen to recently freed people. Many Southerners needed food, shelter, and work. President Lincoln proposed a 10% plan to Congress. He wanted to make it easy for Southern states to rejoin the Union. As soon as 10% of the voters in a state swore loyalty to the United States, a new government could be established. They would have to declare an end to slavery as well. This plan also included amnesty for former Confederates, but did not apply to Confederate government leaders or top military officers. Congress passed a stricter Reconstruction plan called the Wade-Davis Bill. It proposed that 50% of voters would have to swear loyalty. Those who served voluntarily would not be allowed to vote. Lincoln never signed this law. Republicans who supported a firm hand on the South were called Radical Republicans. Lincoln supported a lenient Reconstruction policy. Freedmen's Bureau. To rebuild the South, the Union created the Freedmen's Bureau. It offered education and economic assistance to freedmen and impoverished whites. Freedmen were enslaved people who had been freed when the Civil War ended. It was urgent to deal with their needs, so Congress created the Freedmen's Bureau in March 1865. The Freedmen's Bureau set up schools to teach freedmen to read and write. Many freedmen were anxious to learn and started schools on their own. This bureau helped freedmen find jobs and resolve disputes between whites and African Americans. It set up courts to deal with such disputes. Lincoln is murdered. Abraham Lincoln's assassination ended with the possibility of a lenient Reconstruction. Lincoln had always embraced the idea of a peaceful Reconstruction. He had no chance to put his plan into practice because he was murdered on April 14, 1865, 5 days later after Lee's surrender at Appomattox. A Confederate sympathizer, John Wilkes Booth, slept behind Lincoln at the Ford Theater while he attended a theatrical play with his wife. He fired a single shot into Lincoln's head, and he died a few hours later. Booth was shot to death 2 weeks later, after being cornered and burnt in a barn. 8 people were convicted and 4 hung for the role played in the plot to kill Lincoln. The news of Lincoln's assassination shocked the entire nation. His successor was Vice President Andrew Johnson, a Southern Democrat who had remained loyal to the Union. Since Johnson had always strongly opposed the Confederacy, many expected him to take a strict approach on the Reconstruction.